What's up, guys? It's Crash, and in any online multiplayer game, cheaters are an issue, and I'm afraid with the gray zone warfare mechanics, the game's gaining popularity, how it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be any exception. So I want to talk about some really interesting things that I found in the game files for gray zone warfare that might help that out. And I'm going to do my very best to not get my video demonetized when talking about cheaters, because there's a few choice words and names I would like to call them, but I think you guys get the idea. They're essentially subhuman garbage. But anyways, if you guys have been a part of the channel for a long time and listen to some of the podcasts that we do here every Monday night around 5:30 p.m. Central Time, from the early onset of talking about gray zone warfare, I've been concerned about the cheater issue. And I've always said I have two things that I think they could do to get us the best, closest to a cheat-free experience. I doubt you will ever get a cheat-free game because they're just so determined to ruin other people's experiences. It's kind of wild. I wish, you know, they'd put that to like maybe like doing something good for the world, but instead they work really hard at ruining other people's experience. But there's two things that I've thought about that could really maybe help with this issue. The one is, and I think it sounds like it's coming closer to 1.0, is if we have community run servers. We self-moderate ourselves. If I would love to do that, if our community gets large enough to host our own server and kind of have a mod team that can make sure and police our own servers. I think users policing themselves is kind of the best way that we can keep a cheat-free environment as close to it as possible. It's worked pretty well in some of the Battlefield servers I've been a part of. And the second one is AI anti-cheat. And I could be in the clouds on this one, but I want to talk about it just a little bit. Ever since I saw a video by Basically Homeless showcasing Anybrain anti-cheat, I've been a proponent of this. I followed along with their Twitter and kind of followed along with the aspects of their company. And Mara did a little bit of a talk in one of his Discord talks where he said that they're going to work on machine learning AI anti-cheat. And I thought to myself, I wonder if that's going to be Anybrain. And then a member of my Discord server went ahead and actually found, you guys can see it in the game files, the Anybrain SDK. So I'm not sure to what extent it's running yet. I'm not sure if it's going to be doing stuff soon or later down the road, closer to 1.0, but the SDK for Anybrain that is going to be collecting user movement and input data is live and is going on within gray zone warfare. So that's really, really exciting to me. And I want to talk about why that is. Now, there are two sides of this story. There are people like me who are kind of hopers and truthers that are hopeful that Anybrain can do what they claim, but there really isn't any proof to that. So if you kind of want the other side of the coin, Goatmoth, he's the guy that did the Wiggle That Killed Tarkov video that I'm sure many of you guys have seen. He did that video. He also did a video talking about some of the flaws with AI anti-cheat. He talked about how one of the proponents, or one of the positives that Anybrain touts about their anti-cheat services, it's not kernel level. It monitors stuff server side. So there's nothing really installed on your computer that can see behind the scenes. Data issues or privacy is not an issue. It basically monitors your input. And they go so far as to say it creates a profile almost as unique as a fingerprint about your reaction time, how you press the keys, how fast you move the mouse, your kind of inputs, and it kind of builds a profile around how you play. And it can identify you if you try to smurf, if you try to make a new account and sandbag and get lower in ranked games. Not really an issue in gray zone warfare, but it can also tell if there's instantaneous switches in your gameplay, if you start to have patterns to your reaction time, if you're able to like look at other players when you shouldn't be able to see them. All kinds of stuff like that is within Anybrain anti-cheat. And the big thing that Goatmoth said was that he thought it wouldn't really work without running on the machine because things could be spoofed client side and it wouldn't be picked up server side. But I think at the end of the day, whatever those inputs are, whether it be a recoil macro or super fast reaction times, flicking to targets and things like that, it's eventually going to have to get to the server. So I'm hoping that Anybrain can be able to sniff this stuff out. And I think this is in the infancy, just like gray zone warfare. And I think there's probably going to be some ups and downs with this. There's going to be things that do work, that don't work. And I'm not saying this is going to be a perfect solution, but I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future of it. AI has been progressing at a rapid pace within all facets of our society. And I'm hoping this is one of the cases where AI can be used for good and stamp out some of these cheaters and get them out of our game. So from their website, they say that their system is designed to be a non-intrusive, operating without the need for kernel level or other invasive access. With our anti-cheat solution, you can enjoy a fair and honest gaming experience without worrying about cheaters ruining the fun. So that's from their website. They do also have an informative video on their channel talking about kind of some of the data they collect and some of the things they can see. A visual representation of how it works. They say that it's able to do AI-based and even pixel bot or DMA cheats by kind of assessing the player behavior with the computer, like the human to computer interaction and how it builds that profile about you. So the player behavior data goes into the Anybrain software, and then it goes into a storage API, and then the Driven platform where they can see the web dashboard. And that leads me to the web dashboard. So Anybrain does not ban people. It basically gives developers the tools to do so and to review them. So I'm assuming over at Madfinger Games, they have Anybrain anti-cheat running. When it's up and running and working well, they will be able to see a dashboard that shows them suspicious player behavior, give you a list of those players and kind of information about what they're doing to help them take action. And supposedly, according to the website, it's really quick to work. It works really fast, almost in real time. You can get alerts when fraudulent players start to get detected. Now, there's a ton of stuff that goes into this, and I find myself having to check myself because I get so excited about the potential of cheaters. And I know this company is in its early stages, but this is the first time of a game that I know it's in and I know it's working on. So I'm really excited to see how this pans out, and I'm hopeful for the future. But some of the detractors talk about how, you know, it also not only does it not do anything client side, I would argue that Gray Zone Warfare does also have easy anti-cheat working on around the clock on the machine. So when you're logged into the game, as you guys know, when you start it up, easy anti-cheat kicks on, and it's also checking the machine for anything suspicious. And then server side, they also should have Anybrain anti-cheat checking for weird player inputs and controls. So there's kind of a two-prong approach. And then, like I said, having community run servers, self-policing, I think would be the third prong in that kind of attack on cheaters that is within Gray Zone Warfare. But not only are they talking about kind of some of its faults being with, you know, not able to be client side, the other thing they talk about is how it works. And maybe there's some AI experts out there that can help me when it comes to the training itself. Sometimes humans are a little bit fallible. We can, you know, if somebody does something really cool, we can think it's cheating, we can think it's not cheating. But some of the questions arise with Anybrain anti-cheat are, what kind of information is it being trained on? Can it be sure that the stuff it's being trained on actually is cheating versus non-cheating, and they're able to train the model appropriately? That's the other question, because there have been some really big bans lately. I know of CSGO in particular that many people are calling false bans. There's a lot of evidence to show that there are false bans from the AI anti-cheat that's been working in CSGO. So it is definitely not perfect, and I think false bans are one of the worst things that can happen in all this. If a legitimate player gets false banned, that is such a failure from multiple levels. So that's really an issue that we need to be careful of. Is this AI anti-cheat being trained properly? Is it too meticulous or inaccurate where it could also falsely ban some legitimate players? But that's where I like to fall back on the fact that Anybrain anti-cheat doesn't ban players. It gives Madfinger Games the tools to be able to review them on their own and take action as they see appropriate. So the other question that I pose to you guys, well, there's nothing client side or kernel level that's going to be able to check out what files and stuff you have on your computer, or glean passwords or anything like that. What do you think about having a profile made up on how you interact with your computer? I think that's really an interesting topic, because they said in the video on Basically Homeless's video that this is essentially as accurate and as unique as a fingerprint. So they can actually tell that it's you playing the game even if you switch accounts. So how do you guys feel about that, being like having a profile created about you, how you interact with the game? I think it's going to be kind of funny when they see mine, like, yeah, this guy definitely has the reaction time of a 37-year-old. But I don't think that's really a privacy issue. But when you talk about just on the surface hearing AI anti-cheat, or there's AI that's making a profile on how you behave, that's like a little bit like kind of, you know, a little scary, like Skynet something. But I think it's for good. And I mean, what can they do with that information? There's nothing really bad or personal information that they can get from that. I just think it's kind of an interesting question that we already kind of see other uses of AI, especially on the marketing side of things, that monitor people, and they predict human behavior. And that's kind of what's happening here with cheat. It's not being used for marketing, but it's being used for anti-cheat. So I was a little bit worried and concerned if I should make this video or not, because I really didn't want to draw attention to this for cheaters to be able to kind of start exploiting and working against. However, I really don't think it hurts my community. I don't think you guys are cheaters. On the other side of that is, if they're going to make cheats for this game, they're going to find this. It's right inside the game files. You guys can look for it yourself and see the Anybrain SDK. So I really don't think I did any harm in making this video, drawing attention to it, because it's just in the game files. And if anybody wants to make cheats, they're already going to know about this kind of stuff. So I really wanted to make it for a conversation. I want to know what you guys think of Anybrain anti-cheat and AI anti-cheat in general. And if you're kind of excited like me, just to have hope, you know, like after the Wiggle video and Tarkov, and after I've had some really rough Rainbow Six seasons with cheaters, and even playing like Warzone and Rebirth Island, some of the cheaters in there and how Ricochet anti-cheat really isn't working, I might be getting a little bit excited because there is just this glimmer of hope that is AI anti-cheat. And I'm sure people are going to make AI cheats that work against it, but hopefully with Anybrain, you know, detecting changes in behavior, that it can also detect that. And pretty soon, I guess we're going to have AI versus AI cheat and anti-cheat, and you'll probably be back to the same cat and mouse arms race that we're at with traditional types of anti-cheat. I don't know. There is so much to this. It's such a big problem. It's such a big industry. Cheat companies make so much money off of people cheating, and it's just crazy when you have all of these things working together. But Anybrain AI anti-cheat is like my glimmer of hope for multiplayer FPS online gaming. And I was pretty excited to see that one of my favorite games right now, Gray Zone Warfare, has that installed and has that running. So let me know what you guys think of all this. Thank you guys for all the support on the videos lately. It's been incredible and humbling, and do not think for a second that I don't appreciate it greatly. I hope to see you guys on the next video.